Jay Serona back here in the JConcepts garage for another vlog episode here. We're with Cole Ogden. Cole, we've been on the episodes here on YouTube. We talk about the different race results that we have kind of month to month. We try to keep up with how people are doing and what's going on in the racing world. Of course, there's a different race every weekend, so it's hard to stay up to date. You know, one of the most recent events that we were at was the World Championships out in Las Vegas, and you were out there representing Mugen, JConcepts, and Reds. You know, you've been racing all year long, been running with the Mugen stuff, kind of lead up to the Worlds here. Let's talk about a little bit how the race went for you there, and what did you learn, and what was working well for you there in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so it started out pretty good. Seating, I guess you could say, free practice. My car was really good. I was able to seat myself in the top 5 for that, but I mean that's free practice. So I had a pretty good, comfortable mindset going into the seating and qualifying. So JConcepts tires hooked up pretty well. My Mugen worked really well. I was happy with it. Motors ran great. Fuel was good, and I was just able to have a mindset to just go out and put it on kill and just put down consistent laps. But coming into qualifying, I mean, my car was really good. I just managed to put down a pretty good run in all of them until the good old last lap that I put down. So other than that, I mean, my stuff was pretty good. I'm happy with all my stuff. It worked great. So,
I mean, for people that don't know, you know, that watch these videos and things, the Worlds is different because it's a long event. You know, you go to so many races where the race might be just Saturday and Sunday. You guys are there till all hours of the night, qualifying, running main events. But the Worlds is a really long program, really only running 2 times per day. So you kind of live and die with how you did those 2 races per day. But, you know, we ran 6 rounds of qualifying, and you were competitive in all 6 rounds. I mean, not competitive with, you know, half of the field. You were competitive right at the top with the upper echelon of racers there at the Worlds. And like you said, you were on, you know, several runs that were top 5 runs. You had to settle for, you know, stuff that was more in the 12, 13 range. Where did you end up qualifying in the end, and where did that exactly put you leading into the finals?
Yeah, so I ended up qualifying probably like, I think it was 23rd, so that put me in the odd quarters. And they actually shortened it this year for the amount of people they took in the semis. I think they normally take, 24? Mm-hmm. I think this year they took only 15? 15 it was? Mm-hmm. So anyway, I ended up qualifying in the quarters, and at the start of the race, you know, I got a good start. My stuff was pretty good. I felt like I could drive it okay. Mm-hmm. And it was a long race, 30-minute race. So I mean, you had all the races before, like the lowers, and then the races all before the quarters. So the track changed tremendously. I think running the quarters actually helped me out a little bit, just because, you know, like I said, the new bumps formed. You didn't know where they were, so stuff was pretty good in the quarters. I was able to put it in the top 4 for the transfer to the semis, and yeah, I mean, I think being in the quarters gave me a little bit of an edge going into the semis, just knowing, you know, I knew where the bumps and stuff were, where I could go, where I couldn't go, and ended up a little short in the semi. I was in the 6th spot most of the race, and my last pit stop, I came in just a little hot and flipped it upside down. I think that was the only wreck I had the whole time. But I had a comfortable gap between me and Renault, and that wreck just cost me a little bit more time than I had on Savoia. So he ended up passing me for the 6th spot, so that put me in 7th. And I finished out in the 7th spot, ran in 7th for the last 3 or 4 minutes, and came a little short, 6 seconds short to Renault for the transfer to the finals. So I got beat out on time from the other guys, but overall happy with the car. Worked great. I could have drove a little bit better coming in the pit lane that one time, but yeah, it was good.
How many people, when they watch these videos online, you never really have the idea of how difficult it is to be in a race with somebody for 30 minutes, and then you have to do a pit stop, And some people are like, man, he crashed in the pits, or
Yeah.
but it's really common for people to crash coming in, coming out,
Yeah.
and during the pits. So what is some of the things that you kind of see when you're racing that that you try to remember as you're coming in and out of the pits?
Well, entrance and exit for sure. I mean, you come in and no one really goes to the pits every lap, so there's not a groove. So
Yeah.
it's real loose. You got to prepare for it being loose. Your car might push coming in, and then you have those huge speed bumps that were coming into the pit lane at Worlds that were pretty big. But I mean, I think where it goes wrong for most people is they come in too hot, and like I did, and flip over. And same with exiting. They want to get in and get out as fast as they can. Maybe their pit guy didn't feel it as fast as they wanted to, so they just come out hot and wreck. Just stuff happens and gets loose. And pit lane's only like 2.5, 3 feet long, wide, so not too much space to work with a loose track coming out hot. So yeah, I mean it's risky coming in and out of the pits, hot. So
what I see a lot of times too is there's usually somebody you're racing with at that time too, whether it's you're in first, somebody's in second, or you're mid pack or whatever, but you know where that other car is, and you know when you come in the pits you can see the other car, so you're essentially always in a race, whether you're on the track or you're coming into the pits. So it's not like, oh, I'm just driving into the pits to, you're actually coming in and you have the other car spotted up, and you're thinking, all right, I need to make up a little bit of time here. I know he's going to pit. So a lot of that's going on when you're coming in for a stop. And, is there anything that you try to do to, kind of prepare for that moment? Because it's almost like, to me, it's almost like more nervous to do the pit stop than it is to just do a normal lap.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, you got your guys picking up your car, and then their guys picking up their car. So when you come in, your guys grab your car, and you kind of watch your guys, see what they're doing, and you kind of watch. If you're racing the guy in front of you or behind you in pit lane, you kind of watching what their guys do to make sure they don't throw you on top of you. You kind of just sometimes it's cool to play it cautious, but it's a little intimidating if they're faster. So you kind of get a little throttle happy in pit lane.
Yeah, and the way that the racing works at the Worlds is they don't run a typical format where, say, it's the 10 fastest drivers in qualifying go right to the main event. What you end up with is they take and they split it off to where you have semifinals and quarterfinals, and what they try to do is the drivers, the idea is that as you get further into the program, the best drivers are racing each other all the way to the end to determine the champion. So, typically like when we race in electric, you run a few qualifiers, main event, you start on the pole, wherever, you take off, that's your main. Well, in a race like the 8-scale Worlds, when Cole's racing is you run 6 qualifiers, but that just determines if you're going to be in the semifinal to start or where you're going to start.
Yep.
Once you have those semis, like you said, the way you're stacked up is the top 5 drivers from each went directly to the main. So that made up 10 spots in the main. And then there was 2 other spots to make 12. And as you mentioned, Reno Savoia got the 6th place in the race that you were in, and you got 7th. So essentially you were 1 position, or as you call it, 6 seconds, essentially from bumping to the A main at the Worlds. So it's a pretty tight race.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you got the 2 fastest times, so the 6th place from the other semi went as well. So that's why it put me. If you get 7th, you still have a chance to get in by time. Then it might be close. So in my case, it was pretty close. Like I think the closest I was to Savoia, which was 6 seconds. So that's what ended my world championships.
So kind of ending this world conversation on a high note. I mean, essentially, what was the difference? You ran 2 years ago. You ran in Italy. You were racing a TLR car there. How did you finish there compared to how you did in Las Vegas?
I did way better this year. I think I ended up in the 30th spot or so, like in the 30s in Italy in 14. But that was my first world championships, and all of us American guys showed up to what we thought was a dirt track, but it ended up being sort of like a concrete surface, so it kind of threw us all a curveball. But I mean, yeah, I got the 30s there, and then I ended up being 13th overall in this Worlds, and I'm happy. I showed a little bit of, bettered myself. So.
And so then 2 years down the road, the Worlds is going to scheduled to be in Australia. Obviously, you're going to be over there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Going for the A main. Obviously, that would be a goal.
Always.
Is to try to get to the main there, and that would be a pretty impressive run considering if you could get 3 world championships in and maybe contend for the A. I think that'd be pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty good.
So, looking back at a couple other results, I mean, you've been racing all over this year. You've been to, Louisiana. You've been all over Georgia. Psychon Nitro. I mean, we've been all over
Full
this
East
year.
Coast,
Yeah,
West
we've
Coast.
been all over. You've been up in New York. You've been to Connecticut. What are some of the couple highlights, briefly, of the events you've been to? Stuff that you liked, or maybe places you've never been to?
There's a bunch of places I've been, like the East Coast. I mean, I never really go way up north and race, but I mean, just the hospitality. All the people I've been racing with here lately are really cool, friendly. We're all not biting each other's heads off. It's all cool people. Good racing, just a cool environment to be in all around. Just around not only the East Coast, West Coast too. I mean, everybody's kind of just chill, and we're racing each other. We know why we're there, and just having a good time.
Mm-hmm. You kind of settled in the last year or so. You got some good friends on the East Coast, like you talked about, and on the West Coast. I mean, you've been to Las Vegas several times, been to California a couple times. Any guys that you picked up on and new racing buddies that you didn't have a couple years ago?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I've been traveling out west a lot more often than before. So, yeah, I picked up a couple friends in California, that are really friendly. Like the Nelsons tell me, hey, come out, stay with us, come run with us. And then you got the Johnsons in Vegas. I stay at their house all the time. Super cool people. Just come out whenever you want. Race whenever, and just good people. They all invite me with open arms, and I'm happy to be a part of that. It's cool.
Out of all the races that you think you've done so far this year, what was your favorite win so far? But then go back to maybe what was your favorite track or race?
My favorite track this year, I've been to a lot of tracks. Sick Cross was really fun. Levi Jackson with Sick Track Designs built that. That's his race, but his tracks are always really cool. DNC, Joey, the Dirt, his tracks are always really cool. I think I liked Wicked. That was I won Wicked Weekend this year. It was in Gainesville, Georgia. That was a really fun track. Bobby Moore builds those tracks. But that was a pretty good win for me. Joe was there, Lutz was there, and we fought it out till the end. Unfortunately, they had some issues, but I think that was my 4th year in a row winning Wicked. So pretty happy about that. So.
And then we did the Psychon Nitro this year, which was in Tennessee for the first time. And
yeah.
I mean, people that don't get a chance to go to this stuff, and when you show up and they build these tracks, I mean, this thing was gigantic.
Oh,
And
yeah.
inside this really nice building,
Oh, yeah.
and you had that crazy big double jump in front. What do you think about? We just raced to kind of bump all around here, but we were just at Lake Park. They redid the track a little bit, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the track was relatively flat, pretty smooth.
Right.
Not a lot of big jumps because the track was built for 10 scale. But when you go to a track like Psychon Nitro, where they got these wood ramp backflip jumps, I call them. I mean, what is it like to run on that? Do you think the expectancy of the car? I mean, I was questioning how long you're going to be able to be out there.
Yeah, that's always in your head. Like, is my equipment gonna last?
Yeah.
But that's up to you.
Yeah.
You got to make sure your stuff's always on point. Shocks, divs, screws. Like, make sure your screws are tight, your motor's strapped in there, and. But like you said, Psycho, yeah, wood jumps. It's pretty different compared to all these dirt jumps you go to. It's basically one of a kind race, really.
Yeah.
But I mean, the wood just allows it to stay way more consistent because the Psycho's known for blowing out really bad. So I think they put the wood jumps just for consistency, but it's cool. I mean, I'm glad it's once a year, but I think it kind of beats your stuff up sometimes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, they don't ever struggle for entries there. I think people kind of like that idea that they're stepping into something different. But, that's one of my favorite races to go to. I always think it's kind of fun from a spectator standpoint. And then just kind of taking us all the way up to the most recent, you made a trip, Lake City, Florida. They had the Force race that Lance McDonald puts on, and we were up there, and Paul and I came up to visit you guys and see how everyone was doing, and track looked great. Talk to us about how you thought that was up there at the Force race.
Yeah, the Lake Park track, or the Lake City. There's so many lakes in Florida.
Yeah.
But Lake City was really good. I mean, it's a medium-sized track. They say they're expanding, but I went there earlier this year for the summer shootout, and that layout was pretty good as well. But they stepped it up a little bit on the second layout. I'm digging it. They added some jumps. The dirt's the same, and it was a really fun track. We had traction, good traction. The moisture came up. It got a little slick, but it's Florida. It gets humid. Track gets a little moist, and it gets a little slick. It's just racing, but facility is really nice. Good people as well. So happy about it.
So we were up there at Lake City. You ended up you did TQ both rounds of qualifying. Had some bad luck in the main. Something went wrong right away. You guys were there a little bit late because of good turnout. But then the next day you kind of turned right around. You drove down to Lake Park. We met up out there, and it's been about a year since they had a race out at Lake Park. They had it closed down because of a sinkhole out there somewhere. I've never seen it, but they told me that it's out on the other side of the park, but they opened it up to us. Ryan Eckert and their whole track crew out there. I mean, I saw some pictures of this thing was completely overgrown with grass. It looked like it was never a track really.
Yeah.
And in a couple weeks they had this thing turned around and back out there running at Lake Park. They have a new driver stand. I mean, they really the thing's ready to go. It's just they couldn't let anybody go out. So what was your experience running out there? I mean, it was something you had to run back to back real quick. The car just came off the track from Lake City. You had to throw it back together and get out there.
Yeah.
But how was it driving, between the two tracks? And you didn't really even have any practice.
Nah, I showed up late. And,
so, talk to us, what it was like to run out at Lake Park.
Lake Park, yeah. I mean, it's a good track. It looked like it was what it looked like was clay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it had probably the same amount of traction as Lake City during the day when it was blown off and watered the edges. But it was a fun event. The track was, like you said, it was 10 scale, but you can all still have fun on a 10 scale track.
Yeah.
It did get a little dusty in spots just because it has been sitting for a year, but we're not sweating it. It's off-road.
Yeah. I mean, what's kind of ironic about that is they built that track for one of our Super Cup races last year, and that's right when they had to close it. So, the way the track was laid out and built, it was built for our Super Cup race that never got to happen because of the sinkhole. But it was nice to actually get back out there and run on the track as they intended it. Of course, you did TQ overall that day, no practice, and then you and JR Mitch had a good race in the main. You had a little problem, maybe it was me in the pits, I don't know. We ran you out of fuel, but good day nonetheless. JR ran a pretty good race, and it was a good trip having you come to Florida.
Had fun.
And I don't know if you want to just quickly give a shout out to all your sponsors, and kind of how you have the car equipped here with with the JConcepts products, and we'll let you go.
Yeah. Thanks to Mugen Siki Racing, Reds Racing, JConcepts, Nitro Pro Fuel, Futaba, MKS, OGO, Advantage RC, Speed RC, and MView Motorsports. Here we got some JConcepts tires, detox, with some JConcepts wheel nuts. We have the JConcepts silencer body, world's body actually, and then the JConcepts hybrid wing. Pretty much just about every JConcepts upgrade you can buy for this thing. I got the JConcepts titanium turnbuckles, MView shock pistons, MKS servos, Reds World's Edition motor, and the whole package. It works well.
We were talking earlier. We got the front wing mounted to the front of your Mugen here. That'll be something that'll be coming out soon. But you're a big fan of this.
Yeah.
You like the different wing options on the car, but you also really liked running the front wing option.
Yeah, it's pretty trick. It's just something different to add to the mix instead of just a plain car, the plain nose.
So for the guys watching, when's the next time we're going to see you race, and coming up? What's immediately coming up that maybe somebody could see you race at?
Yeah, I think I'm headed up to Knoxville, Tennessee here in the next 2 weeks for the Run for the Riches. So if you want, come out, come race with me.
You gonna get rich out there?
Yeah, well, let's hope so.
All right, Cole. Thanks for joining us here
Thank
in
you.
the JConcepts garage, and great job this year. And we'll see you at the next race.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, man. See you soon.
See ya.